They were young, athletic, full of potential, and then they vanished. Only to be found days or weeks later, floating in a river. Every case ruled an accident, but near many of those scenes, a crudely spray-painted smiley face appears. Coincidence? Or a calling card? This is the story of the Smiley Face Killers. It started in the late 90s. A growing number of college-aged men, mostly fit, high-achieving students, were disappearing after nights out drinking. Some were last seen on surveillance cameras, stumbling, confused, alone. Then, days later, found in water, face down, no signs of struggle, no suspects. Detectives Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte started to notice a pattern. The victims were all eerily similar, and in multiple cities, near where bodies were found, they kept seeing the same thing: a smiley face, sometimes faint, sometimes fresh, but almost always nearby. One of the earliest cases was Patrick McNeill, a Fordham University student in New York. He vanished in 1997. Surveillance footage caught him staggering away from a bar, followed by a van. His body was found in the East River weeks later, but the autopsy showed burn marks on his body and ligature marks around his neck. It was ruled a drowning, but the signs pointed to something much worse. Then there was Chris Jenkins, a University of Minnesota student. He went missing on Halloween night in 2002. 4 months later, his body was discovered in the Mississippi River. At first, police said he slipped and fell, but eventually they changed the ruling to homicide. His family says he was found with his arms crossed, like he'd been posed, shoes still on, not typical for a drowning. In 2017, Dakota James, a 23-year-old from Pittsburgh, disappeared after a night out with co-workers. Surveillance shows him walking alone into a part of town with no real exit. His body was pulled from the Ohio River 40 days later, but oddly, he showed minimal decomposition, suggesting he hadn't been in the water the whole time. His family believes he was murdered. Police called it an accident. And in many of these cities, that same smiley face appears, near bridges, by storm drains, on the walls near where bodies are found. Some drawn small, others massive. All of them staring. Gannon and Duarte believe it's not one killer, but a network, possibly connected online, possibly ritualistic, a cult even. They believe these deaths are planned, not accidental, that victims are stalked, taken, then disposed of, all under the illusion of a drunken accident. Law enforcement agencies across the country have mostly rejected the theory. They say it's a coincidence, that people see patterns where there aren't any, that graffiti is just graffiti. But with over 40 cases sharing eerily similar details, many aren't so sure. On Reddit, in deep web forums, and across YouTube. The theory keeps growing. Some claim they've found coded messages hidden in the artwork. Others link the killings to underground trafficking rings. And then there are those who believe this is just the surface, that there's something much, much darker hiding underneath. So, what's the truth? Are these deaths just tragic accidents? Or is a coordinated group preying on the vulnerable and hiding behind a smile?